question. Can you tell us about what research the FAA Technical Center is doing to test the safety of these new technologies that we're learning about today? And can you comment also if there are similarities or if there are differences for testing the safety of unmanned versus manned aircraft?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. Before I start talking, I'd like to put the assumptions out there, and you've heard a few of them. Urban air mobility, vertical takeoff and landing. That's the technology that I'll be using. It's also going to be using electric or battery propulsion. And we're talking about initially being manned flight, but eventually being autonomous. The research FAA does, and the reason behind the research that we do, is to collect the information, the data, and provide the scientific analysis to be utilized for future regulations, guidelines, or procedures. So that sets the foundation. Now, I mentioned in my opening remark, some of the research that we're doing on large aircraft also apply to these aircraft, like the materials, lightweight materials, composites, propulsion, electric and batteries. So the research question in support of this technology is, what are the performance measurements or requirements for these technologies and materials and batteries? Another good example is the research that we do from a weather perspective. So we do a lot of research around what is the weather information pilots need to operate, and we're doing a gap analysis for UAS. But the research question for somebody is, what is the effect of weather in an urban environment? What about wind gusts? What effect will that have on this new type of aircraft, let alone cold on the longevity of batteries? So these are the type of what ifs. Now, in regards to the second part, what are we working on? Again, it's a lot about the digital interface, the links between the pilot and the aircraft, the sensor technology between the aircrafts, ground, eventually satellite, that allows us to know where the aircrafts are so that we can stay well clear and provide that information for the pilot. But we're focusing in those areas.
Thank you. And to the panel, in terms of what Ms. Yak said about the what-ifs, do the what-ifs have impacts on what you're doing today in terms of moving forward with your innovations?
Yeah, as we've spoken about, the safety is really our #1 priority, and ensuring that's both the safety of the individual aircraft and also the operation of the service as a whole. And the work that the FAA Tech Center has done and the collective aviation industry over the past 100 years has created the safest transportation system in the world. So not only is air travel the fastest and the lowest cost, but also the safest, our safest mode of transportation. It's really stunning, and I'm incredibly grateful to the work of this committee and the FAA over a long period of time, which has steadily improved safety. And I think it's incredibly commendable and really spectacular, the achievement.
Is there anything that the FAA is not doing that is impeding your progress with regards to the Tech Center?
I think the FAA has been incredibly supportive, very forward-looking, very innovative, and embracing these new technologies and looking how to make them as safe as we possibly can.
Very good. Any comments, Mr. Provo?
I think I just want to back up to the weather problem. I do think there's research that has to be done. That's not Tech Center research, but I don't think we have enough of an understanding about the microclimates in urban areas. And so there's certainly a gap that needs to be filled.
Thank you for that. And I just have a few more seconds, but Ms. Yak, I noticed that the Drone Advisory Committee has changed somewhat in terms of membership. And so I just wanted to know, given those changes, can we expect what can we expect the DAC to focus on in the near term?
Yes, thank you for that question. The Drone Advisory Committee is being somewhat reconstituted. but I was at the last meeting, and it's still very active, and it's very much focused on how can industry help the FAA with the integration of these exciting technologies. So I believe they're at the stage right now of identifying how industry can help.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Doug?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.